Okay, we're recording. Bing bada boom. Exciting! Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Youth Room. This is our third and final part of our multi-part special feature. And if you look right above me, we have two amazing guests today. Honestly, they're some of the two most amazing women I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. But without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce them. So as we go around, how about we just simply explain who you are, where you're from, and if you could have any artist write a song for you, which artist would you want it to be? Alrighty. So, by the way, for those of you who don't know by now, hopefully you've watched the previous two episodes. But I am Raejen. I am your youth minister host for this multi-part series. I am the youth minister at St. Andrew. And with our lovely guests, maybe the one who's not muted can go first.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Margaux. I'm so excited to be here. I'm 22. Do I say that stuff? But I'm 22, and I'm from Our Lady of Angels. And what was the question about the artist?
If you could pick any artist to write a song about you, who would you want it to be?
Okay. Mine would probably be either Joji, just because I really love Joji. He's one of my favorite artists. Or Frank Ocean. I think those are the first two that came to mind, just because those are my vibes. And I think Frank Ocean could write a really good song, and I wouldn't even understand half of it, but it'd be good. You know what I mean?
Great choices. Thank you, Margaux.
Okay, my turn. Hi, I'm Ray. If you want to be legal, it's Raychelle, but I totally prefer Ray. I guess we're saying age. I'm 20. I am from OLA, Our Lady of Angels, and if I could have an artist write a song for me, okay. If I had a non-American artist, I'd have obviously I'd have BTS write my song. Shoot, I have to say that. If it was gonna be an American artist though, I'd really love Alicia Keys to write me a song. I could just see it. Anyways, yeah, I think that's my answer.
Oh, awesome. Wow. To answer as well and participate as well. The first two artists that actually come to my mind was Kehlani or Jhené Aiko. Mostly because I love both their music, and I don't know, if they were to write a song about me, they would have to know me first. So I also think just having a conversation, getting to know them would be really awesome. Yeah, I love them, but that's awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah, that's right. We have our two wonderful female youth ministers from Our Lady of Angels here today. And yeah, just like the previous two episodes, we're here to really explore what it's like to be in our positions and just kind of explore our different perspectives. And yeah, so with my lovely cousin, lead us in opening prayer.
Of course, cousin. Okay. Let us put ourselves in the presence of our Lord, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear God, thank you for bringing us here today. Thank you for giving us this chance to be in community and to be able to talk to one another and just catch up, talk about how life's been, because God, I know out of all of us, you know how hard it is to just be in contact and be in community once in a while. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this. Thank you for having the Holy Spirit guide us here to where we are today. And please bless us over this podcast, little thingy, get together, whatever you'd like to call it. And in this we pray, amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen.
Awesome. Thanks, cousin. She's my cousin, by the way. And you know it's true because
we're cousins.
You know it's true because it's on the internet. So it's not wrong. So with that being said, Ray and Margaux, welcome to the podcast. First question I asked everyone else, and I would love to hear your stories as well. is just simply, how did you guys become youth ministers? Like, what's the story behind that? Like, why even happened in the first place? What led it to? If you want to, since you both work together as well, like if you want to talk about how you two first met as well, go for it.
Oh man. Can I start? Oh, I'm gonna start either way. Me and Margaux are laughing because I remember one day me and Margaux asked ourselves the same questions. I started ministry, I became a youth minister, I think August of 2019, right? Margaux?
April.
April? Oh my gosh, April. Oh my gosh, hamsters!
April
Okay.
until March of 2020.
Oh wow.
This year is 2020. Last year, sorry.
Last year, right? Okay. See. So we started then. Oh, I think it's because I thought I started getting used to being a minister by August, even though we were in the position by like April. But I think I was already involved like prior, like I was a freshman I was a freshman in college when I said yes to being a minister. And then a few years before that, when I was a junior in high school, is when I actually started being involved in youth ministry. So I think I wanted to just try it out. I don't know. I was like thinking there can't be anything that could be wrong with just saying yes. So I think that's really it. I wish I had a better, like, straight, like, extravagant answer, but I think that's like really it. And then in terms of when I met Margaux literally the month before we found out we were gonna work together, because I met Margaux at the second year retreat. Second year. Yeah, it was in March. I met her at the second year retreat. And I came there the second day because came from a tournament. Oh my gosh. I came from a tournament the day before, and I was coming from SAC that morning. So I come into OLA in the gym, and I see her with like some other person that we knew, and they were like good friends. So then I was like, oh, then if they're good friends, then I could like just totally be normal. So I told Margaux, I like giving hugs. Can I? So I just hugged her out of nowhere. Mind you, I just met this woman, and I was like, I'm gonna give you a hug. So I think that's when I first met Margaux. And then the next time I met her, we were actually in an interview with our pastor. And after that, I think the rest is history, as they say. But yeah, that's how I remember it. Margaux, do you remember anything else?
No, that's pretty much how we met. I remember doing that interview. We were just kind of laughing because we weren't really expecting what was going on during that time. But that's when we kind of knew that it would kind of go well. But my start in ministry, I reflect on this question a lot because it's kind of interesting, just because I didn't grow up like going into youth group or like doing any of that. And when I got asked by our old youth minister about this, I had absolutely like no idea what this meant. Like, I didn't even know what a minister like was, or like what it meant, or like anything that had to do with it, honestly. And but basically I was asked my junior year of college, and I was at CSM at the time, and I got confirmed at OLA my freshman year of high school. I got asked to be a leader, like, and all that stuff, but I said no just because I was really scared, and I was like a really shy person. I just said no to everything. And my junior year of college, I kind of started helping out with the CCD, like the 8th grade CCD. And that a few months later, like the old youth minister asked me to, because this like position filled up. And I literally just didn't even know what it meant. And I said yes, just because I was like, okay, like this opportunity is like right in front of me. I really feel like God is telling me to say yes. So basically, I said yes, and here we are today.
Oh my gosh, wait, can I say one thing? I totally forgot. Before I was a minister, let's get to that. Chris, my lovely, lovely friend gets a kick out of this. I was a gymnastics instructor literally when I was being asked to be a minister. So it was a very interesting situation because the old minister knew I never did gymnastics in my life. So it was like interesting to him that like I was able to get that job. So, and also during that time when I was a gymnastics instructor, I was looking for a job that I like got more out of, you can say, because obviously I didn't know what I was doing as a gymnastics instructor. So I was, and then when the opportunity came to be a minister, I was like, I do like this. Like, I think I would have more joy in doing my job if I was doing that rather than being a gymnastics instructor. So I guess you could say that's like another reason why I kind of went into being a minister. Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. Margaux, you mentioned this during your story. Well, I want to ask you guys now, now that you've been in your role for a little bit, what does it mean to be a minister? And what does it mean to you? So for me, I can go first. But I think for me, it's really this idea of allowing myself or giving me the opportunity to be a resource and be that person to guide the next generation. Um, when I think about up and coming youth leaders, right, think about the church. I don't know how it is exactly for OLA, but there's quite a bit of people in St. Andrew that's above a certain age. Um, and there's not so much like, there's not many people before that certain age. And for me, it's basically being the opportunity to be there for that generation, be there for the kids, um, and just giving them an example of who Christ is, and show them what a life with Christ can be. So I just think it's a treasure to have. But yeah, what about you two?
Such a hard question to answer. I think it's hard because it's like one of those things that's hard to answer because you can't put it into words. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you're a minister, it's a very selfless position to be in. And I think it's something that has to, like, it's something that's in just like a nature of a person because at the end of the day, as much as I want to have these things for like these kids, I can only do so much. But at the same time, like, I want them to be able to obviously at some point find their way knowing that they belong in the church. Like that's like my ultimate goal. Like knowing that you belong here in the faith and in the church because that's important, I think. And I think that's something I never got as a Catholic growing up. I think that's why my drive comes from that. And I think for me, when I think of a minister, I think of someone who is like this like the ultimate selfless person that is going to do not just anything to guide the kids, like the youth, but also be there for them. Because I think it's more than just being a leader and being a guide. It's like being your friend. It's it's like all these things that are just kind of in one person. At least that's what I would hope for when I like interact with like people at OLA. Um and that's really all I can put as what a minister is because I think it comes with just having been a coach and been like somebody who was a youth that was actually like driven away from the church. I think I want to make sure when as for me being a minister, um whatever drove me away, I don't want like the people that I interact with, I don't want them to have that as their same reason why they were driven away. I think it's also part of like giving them opportunity. I think that's important because there's not a lot of chances to have opportunity depending on where you are. I'm from Hayward, so I grew born and raised in Hayward, and you don't hear youth leaders like you don't hear that, and you don't hear opportunities to just be involved in different ways. So I think that's part of like what my job, I guess, is, but I'd say that's what a minister is for me at least.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I feel like going off of what you said, it's hard to put it into words because from what I've learned, it's a lot more about like your actions and like that has like a big part to do with it. And kind of just like a little information. Like my official like role at OLA is like youth admin. So like when I got asked, I didn't technically be asked to be a minister, but at the same time, like I am like one of the 3 ministers. So like truly like understanding like what that meant was kind of like a process for me because I was like, wait, I'm admin, but I'm also like youth minister. Like, what does that mean? Like, you know what I mean? But it's really like it's like a mindset, like you like truly it's like really just like guiding the kids and like being there for them no matter what. And like what Ray was saying about like not wanting to like push them away or like that part what you said, it's also like when they do or like things happen, it's being there for them no matter what, like whether they're like serving as part of like the SALT team or they're just like another like youth like part of a community, like that kind of thing. It's literally just being there for them and making sure they have somebody there for them, um like growing up and like experiencing everything. So yeah, that's my answer.
Beautiful. I think you two hit it really well. Um, it's really being that pillar for them, right? Um, that uh, you don't give up on them. You're not supposed to because God doesn't give up on them. So like, why should we? Um, and it's really just giving them that trust and giving them that power to really find themselves and explore Christ. That being said, as we're talking about all of this, how much I know it's I mean, year a lot can happen in like a short couple years, but how much how much do you think you've changed and in what ways you've done so when you since you first started being ministers?
I think, oh man, I changed a lot. Um, I think I changed in ways that are, it's not just me being a minister. I think there was just a lot that's happened in the time period that I was a minister. So my first year, if I took that whole year, there was a lot. There was points of giving up. There was points of thinking I wasn't meant for the position because I think, like, if I'm being completely honest, because we all know that's literally my lifestyle. I can't lie, but I think, did I want to like stop in that year? Yes, I will say that. Was it hard? Because like I said, I've only been in ministry since my junior year. So I only had 2 years before this to like know what ministry was, to know what youth ministry was. So I think there was a lot of questioning. There was a lot of doubting myself in what I think a lot of it was not just doubting myself, but I was putting a limitation on what I thought I can do. Um, I was kind of limiting myself in not just ministry, but in every aspect of my life. And I think that's where things got harder to like just deal with. I was an athlete. I was a student athlete at my college. I was in the beginning juggling coaching for a club as well as being an athlete, but as well as being a gymnastics coach for like the first 4 months of being in ministry and being a part-time youth minister. So I think the growth came with living throughout that year. Like it's like one of those things where people say like um you mature as time goes on, something like that. I reworded it, but it's okay. But it's kind of like, I can't tell you what exactly I grew in, but I can tell you like how it happened, because I know I'm a different person now. I've been told at least, and I feel like a different person after that year and being in ministry. So I think that it's been kind of just living out through life and living through that process of just being able to know myself more. And I think I knew myself as I was like like talking with the kids and talking with the youth and young adults and other ministers. I think that helped in the growth process, because I knew I know when I was starting out, it was really foreign territory, because it was like that thing where it's like society tells you other things, but you feel like you're like such a weird person for like working at a church and being involved in a church. And I think being able to have a good support group and people that were willing to be patient and like wait till you grew and like understood what was happening, I think that was important for me in my growing process. Because I don't know, I never look at myself in a way that's like what did I do good? Like I need to fix it, I know. But it's like I can tell you how potentially I did it. And I think that's how I figured out the growth in where it started and how it happened. Um but I think I think that's really it.
For me, how have I grown or changed since becoming a youth minister? Um, I personally think I've changed a whole lot, like so much. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't grow up like going to youth group like in high school or anything, and so like my understanding of it all obviously has like just grown a lot. But my first like even just like 6 months in ministry, um, just like a lot was happening in my own life, like aside from ministry, like Ray said, and that kind of stuff. I feel like were lessons in itself, but also lessons that like could have been avoided, if that makes any sense. So like now, I feel like I've just um, like being in ministry has made me like stronger in the fact that like I know I'm stronger like in my identity and like I kind of have like a firm foundation in that. So now I don't even know if that makes sense. I just feel like that's like how like what has changed, if that makes any sense at all, honestly. But yeah.
Awesome. I think I get it. Yeah. I think, well, uh, for me too, I wasn't really involved with I wasn't really involved with youth ministry um, that much before becoming youth minister. I mentioned this in the previous episode, but just for context, like I became a part of youth ministry for like 3 months before the previous youth minister offered me a position. Um, and later that year, and a year later, I was here, I was doing it, and I get it. I get the idea of like I had to really figure out like what youth ministry was. But I think like the conversation I had with them was like, even though that I didn't grow up in it, it was kind of like meant to happen because um, when he was speaking to me, like I had to grow up outside of the culture, outside of the ministry, for me to become ready for the position when I came in. Um, and I think joining youth ministry, I had to really figure out um, a lot of different things. Um, one was a big thing, like something I still struggle with. I'll be honest, is that like I dislike confrontation a lot. Um, so I struggle with that. But I was really learning to be more like putting my foot down and like saying like this isn't what we're meant to be doing, and really like showing them the path that they need to go on, if that made sense. But yeah, with that being said, we kind of mentioned it here and there, but like if we could hone in on it, like what were some things you didn't expect having to deal with uh, being a minister? If you kind of mentioned it, if you want to elaborate a little bit more. Um, for me, it was kind of something that I kind of recognized was like being like an actual adult, if that makes sense. Um, like you ever like I'm recognizing that there are going to be moments where you do have to make a call, and it's going to be a call where like not everyone's going to like it, but it's you make that call because you know and believe that it's the right thing to do for the betterment of like the kid. That makes sense. And really recognizing that like I honestly don't know what I was going to say after that, but yeah, um, that's just one of the many things I think. Um,
Um, I think I do get what you mean though. I've been there where it's like making the hard decisions because you're an adult and you're like you're the adult in the room, so you kind of have to do it. Um, Although I will say for me, I think it came easy just because I'm the oldest in my family. So I'm always supposed to be making decisions um in terms of like what to do with my siblings and stuff like that. But anyways, besides the point, what I did not expect as a minister was, if I'm being completely honest, I wasn't expecting how invested I would be in. Because when I was okay, I think the easiest way I can do this is like, okay, when I'm a coach, right? Because I coach volleyball for, I think I've coached freshman boys up to senior boys. I've coached a range of 13-year-olds to 18-year-olds in girls. So, and 12-year-olds. So like, but when I coach, it's very much, I want to kind of like be your ate. So sister. Ate, if no one knows, it's bigger sister in Tagalog. Um, I don't want to just be like your coach. You know what I mean? And I when I did it as a coach, I wasn't expecting me to carry that over as a minister, like having that mentality where it's like, I want to be your ate, or I want to be your friend, or I don't want to just be your minister, you know? Um, and with that, like I didn't realize that's like that took up a lot. Like just wanting to just have a relationship with the kids, in the sense that's like, whether I am your minister or I'm like someone you see as your ate or someone who you see as your friend. Like I didn't realize how much that would like impact me, or how much I would really want that with the kids, because it's in ministry, it's all about community. I agree. It's also about the relationships you develop with everybody. A lot of my friends are from ministry, and I can tell you like I have different relationships with all of them. Like some of them they call me ate, some of them I'm like their friend that they tell like stuff that they don't know what to do about. I'm just their minister that they see at youth group, or their catechist teacher. Like I like but that mattered to me, and I wasn't expecting how much that would matter. I'm a very cold-hearted person, if I'm going to be honest. I can tell you some of the ministers, fun fact, or some of the young adults when they first met me. I didn't say hi to people. I didn't want to interact with people. I didn't want a relationship with people, whether if it was my friend or someone I had to work with. Um, and that's how I lived my life, because I agree with what Raejen said, like earlier, where it's like I had to live a life outside of ministry, and that was my life outside of ministry. My life outside of ministry was you got to keep a front to just get through the day. Um whether that's like at home, whether it's with your friends that you thought were friends, or in school, or in a, like for me, in a team. I think I didn't realize how much I wanted to just develop relationships with everybody. Um, and yeah, and I didn't realize how heavy it would impact me in the end, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think for me.
Yeah, I think you put it in a good way. I did not expect to be as invested into this either, like at all. And the relationship like I do have with the kids now, poof, I would have never imagined that, honestly. But I wouldn't have like, it's also like a choice that like I have to make like constantly, like because ministry also kind of, there's like a sacrifice part to it. And as much it is like a job, like to me it kind of is more than that, because like I don't want to think of it as just like a job. I truly just like want to be there for like each kid, like no matter what kind of thing. And also being a college student, that also is time consuming. So I've had to like focus on my relationship with the kids, and that kind of like has affected my relationship with like my own friends, because I have to sacrifice like spending time with them because of this. But that's a choice I make. So like it's not like a bad thing. It's just I didn't expect all of like the sacrifices or like little things that I'd have to deal with like along the way. So yeah.
I agree. Like the little things, oh man. Like the whole like friendship. Oh man, I could tell you a lot of people just didn't want to be my friends just because I was like busy. And that was a choice I made, and like did it suck in the moment? Yeah, but I mean, I can say that even though that happened, at least I know who's still my friend. You know what I mean? And I think that was like a big thing for me too, like just figuring out how to balance my social life, because I was an athlete too. And as an athlete, there's a lot of other things that you get put into, like popularity, like who's like, if I had time to just practice more and to be better, maybe I'd like be playing more or something like that. Like there's those little things that I obviously had to give up. Like I think anyone who I talked with in the last year was, oh, this was what I didn't expect. I just remembered. I had to choose between being an athlete or a minister. That was hard. Um I think I think that was like a hard decision to make on myself, because I've been an athlete my whole life. You know what I mean? So like I did sports kindergarten, and I was blessed to be able to play my junior year of college, or my sophomore year of college. And to be asked, like I had a team that was willing to pick me up. I was able to transfer. I was able to, like go, you know what I mean? Like it was in the East Coast. I was set. They were going to help me financially, and I said no to all three offers actually. And I didn't know that that would be so hard to like pick between the two. And obviously we all know what I picked because I'm here as a minister, but I didn't know that that decision in itself would be hard. And I think that correlates to the relationship I built with the kids, because like I said, I wasn't expecting to want that. And when I was able to do it with at least like just one or two, that's what made me stay. And that's what mattered to me. Um, so yeah.
I
Yeah.
have something to add, like a little story. I remember like my first few months of ministry, like a lot of my friends, because a lot of my friends um from Burlingame like don't like are not part of ministry. I don't know. I did worded that really weirdly. But anyways, they were like getting into relationships. Like I was not hanging out with them like as much. Like I didn't really get to see them. And I was like really upset over that for a while, because I was like, oh my God, these are like my bestest friends. Like I don't get to see them anymore. Like this is awful. Like something's changing. You know what I mean? And it took me a while to realize, like, as much as they're developing their own relationships with other people, I'm developing my own relationship with God, but also these kids, and like that itself is just like big enough already. And like kind of like that clicking in my head, I was like, oh, okay, I'm doing stuff too. Like that is also something. So that, yeah.
It's really evaluating like the worth of what we're doing. Um, I think you two hit it spot on with the idea of sacrifices. Um, you know, we're constantly choosing like ministry. We're choosing the kids over pretty much and everything else we could be doing. And that's not a bad thing. If you're listening to this, I don't want you to feel guilty about it. Um, because we're doing this because we love what we're doing. Um, I know like uh, I have several conversations with my brother like throughout the years um, about like ministry, and sometimes I'll vent to him, and then it always ends up being like, what? So why are you still there? Whenever I'm complaining about something that's happening, or like recently when I saw him earlier this year, and I was telling him my plans uh, for the ministry and also like my college track, because we also have to constantly choose like uh, we had to choose stuff about school so it could fit around ministry as well. And then like as I was telling him all this, he just asked me like, so like, do you feel like you owe it to them? And my answer was like, yes, I do. And not just to them, right? I think it's also for God. Like when I think about like the ministry, ministry changed my life for the better, and I know that for myself. And just being given the opportunity to make all of these kids' lives better, like that's why, you know, that's why we choose to do the things we do, and it's what makes this super beautiful and super special. Um, and kind of following that up, I kind of talked about it myself, but like, how do I? I think you. How do you? Whoa. Okay. But uh. So I just want to ask you guys. Uh, I'm sorry. We're on a roll. Okay, give me a second.
You're chilling. Take a second. Let the hamsters kind of like chillax. Let them have water and food.
So we kind of touched upon it earlier, like Margot, like you mentioned, like not being more in touch with your friends from that aren't in ministry. But I was just wondering, like, how do your families interact with you, knowing what your position is? Like, how well do they understand what you do? Um, yeah. I mentioned like my brother questions me all the time, like why I'm even there. Um, yeah.
I think for me, um, my Lolo, my grandpa, um, Margot knows this. My grandpa, my Lolo is literally number one supporter that I probably have when it comes to like working in ministry. Um, just because I think that's where we get to like I guess bond. Because my Lolo started Filipino American ministry at OLA when he immigrated here from the Philippines. Um, so when he found out I was gonna be a minister, he was like so excited. Like he wanted to like go get dinner, excited. Like and that like helped a lot. Because I think a lot of ministers know this. It's a lot of time um given. And like what Raejen said, um it's a lot of like adjusting your own schedules to make sure it works with like ministry schedule and like what you do as your job technically. So I think when I get support from my Lolo, I think that's what helps me, because he understands what I'm trying to do or what I'm doing in terms of for the ministry. In terms of my household, they still ask me like, what do you do, or like what is it that you do? And it's kind of hard to explain because like one day I can say I'm going to church because I have to do a live stream or go to youth group and then go to another meeting. But another day I could say like I'm working on paperwork or I'm working with the DRE. So it's like hard to explain to them. And I mean, I'm pretty sure they understand because it's already been like a year of like what it is that I do as a minister. Um, I think a lot of their questioning mainly comes from um, me doing too much. I think that's what they're worried about. Um, because since I already take up a lot of time doing ministry and all their stuff like that, and then I coach, and then I go to school, and then I try to have a social life. Um, so I think they're just worried that I'm spending too much time. Um, but I think they understand to the most of what I do. And that's really all I can ask for, to be honest. Um, yeah.
For me, I'm really fortunate because my sister is one of our youth leaders, and that just like made a relationship like even better. So like of course she like understands everything. Like yeah, she understands. With my parents, it's a little different because it goes both ways. Like they're really supportive, but sometimes they just can't like understand everything. They're they're very supportive in the fact that like they know I'm like have to go to church, and like that is a sacrifice like on our family time. And they're like on Sundays they're like, Margaux, like let's hang out. And I'm like, I'm going to church, but thanks for asking anyways. But there's also the other side where it's like on some days I'm like, Mom, like Dad, like I'm stressed, like this year is hard, like help me. And they're like, okay, focus on school, quit your job. And I'm like, Mom, I can't do that. So it's just really hard because like I'm really thankful because they like it's helped my family that they go to mass, and they like didn't really do that before, and they like do show their support when we do have youth events and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think the bigger picture is not like fully understood. So yeah, it can get like a little difficult because of like those like small comments, because when you say quit your job, and I'm like, no, can't do that.
No.
But yeah, honestly.
Yeah. And so we've talked so much about ministry, um, and I know so far, what's your favorite memory within ministry as a minister?
Hold on, I'm gonna need like a minute. I feel like a lot's happened in this year.
Okay. Oh,
Go. You can
okay.
go.
Okay, this is not like maybe like the biggest, but the first thing that I think of is, okay, nowadays, like I go back to church, right? Like now, like current times, like I'm sitting in church, and I'm like, sometimes I sit alone, and it's like kind of sad. So it makes me really think of not just one particular moment, but the 6 p.m. masses before quarantine, when I would be in the back because I had to like coordinate like ushering and all of that. And it's just like our youth, like all sitting in the back pew. And like that to me, like it just, that one moment where I realized like, oh my God, they're all here because they want to be here. And like, I don't know, that's just like one of my like favorite memories that I hold on to. So yeah.
I think for me, it's not like it was when I same thing when I like that had a realization. Obviously I led when I was a junior, but obviously there was eighth graders leading first year retreat, 7th grade, first year retreat at OLA. And I realized that they're seniors this year. And I was so like, I crap you not. I was like in shock because I was like, oh my gosh, they're seniors and I'm their minister. And then what made it even more crazy is that my junior, like, so that's like the seniors, right? I got to lead that retreat with them if they were there. The juniors would have been the ones they were leading. So then that's what happened. And then my sophomores are like, or our sophomores now are like our babies from our first year. And then our freshmen right now, they're like the new ones that like get to that like some of us taught, like we were like their catechist. So like it became like this whole thing where I was like, oh my gosh, like this is everyone. Like this is everyone that I've probably interacted with in ministry in like one like cycle of years. And it was just like wild because I think what made it so like memorable in the realization was like knowing that I got to know them. I think that's what like made it memorable. Just knowing that I got to be in their life for like just this little part, you know? Um I think that's what made it special. Yeah.
For me, um, I think the one that sticks out to me currently um, is it was LA Congress. Um, and I remember we were just following the schedule or doing things. And I remember my advisors were like, "Hey, we need to talk." And in my mind, I was like, "Oh no, something bad happened." But they just sat down and they're like, "I think we just need to spend the rest of this night being together as a team and as a family." And I was like, "Okay." And we literally just came up with like a last minute, not even like fate sharing, but just like a last minute thing. And we are just like, this is how we're gonna bond. And we spent the rest of that night doing that. And I remember just letting everyone just be open. Um, and it was just like, it was so nice because in my mind, LA Congress is like a big trip and I had to worry about so many details. Um, you know, but like just in that moment, we were just able to just be together um, and just be who we are. Um, and I look back at that night and I just really appreciate what it was. It was just, it wasn't even planned. It was just like, let's just like, it wasn't even from me. It was like, it was from the team. Like, this is what they wanted to do. And we did it. And it was just really beautiful and pure and amazing. And, you know, it's those type of memories that I think really fuels me as a minister. Yeah. Um, Next question. Uh, so far I've interviewed quite a few different ministers, and they're all relatively new. I think the oldest one has been DJ, who's been at it going on his 6th year, and everyone else has been like
2, 3.
2 to 3 at the most, or maybe 4. I don't know, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7, something like that. They're all guys.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you is that how does it feel? I know there are older female youth ministers out there, but how does it feel to be some of the younger female YMs out there? Is it different, or do you feel a difference, or?
I don't know how to like answer this question other than I feel like a baby. Like because I'm the youngest girl. So like I like feel like I don't have to be like, especially when I'm like with the ministers, I feel like a child. Like I feel like I can just be normal for once. Because being a female minister, I wouldn't say, like, me personally, right? I grew up with guys. So like I just I didn't think of anything like that. And I think for me, it made me realize how I had to tap into my feminine side, if that makes sense. Um, because I'm a very aggressive person. Very aggressive. I tend to be very blunt, and I tend to just be oblivious to everything and anything. And um I'm not really a very nurturing person naturally. Like I kind of pick and choose when I want to be nurturing and caring. Um so I think being a youth minister as a female and noticing that not every ministry can have two, let alone three ministers in one church. Um I I make it a point, me personally, especially when I like, not to say because I love their ministers, but sometimes it's like that feminine like touch where you just need like a girl to talk to them once in a while. Like I know for me, because I always had male coaches, and I really, really liked it when there was like a female like helper that was like older and I could just talk to. Because I obviously can't talk to my coach about certain things. So I think as a female minister, I really make it a point to just like let anyone know I'm here, especially like girls, because I know it's like I can understand if it's like sometimes hard to just say certain things. Because that was how I was. So I can only speak of how I was, and I can only hope that I don't want other people to feel that way. So it's like interesting. I could tell you that in one word. To be one of the few that like, well, like at least the ones we interact with, and that like talk to in our sister parishes like the most. It's like interesting. Yeah.
Interesting is a good word to put it. To be honest, I feel like I don't think about it that much, but me and Ray have talked about this, but I have noticed that, like, I think the one thing about being a female youth minister is that or like the both of us, we kind of just want everyone to talk about their feelings, or will encourage everyone to talk about their feelings because we want them to. I don't even know how else to put it. We just like want everyone to like talk about their feelings and let us know how they're really doing. And that's just it. But yeah, I think having what Ray said about like letting everyone know in the sense, because there isn't as many like female youth ministers, because like having that perspective is good too, you know? So yeah.
Not hating on any of the male ministers. I love them all. I hope when they're listening to this, they don't think of anything. So
Oh no, like it's just like I just want everyone to talk about their feelings. Like that's just it. Like
no, literally. Retweet.
I love it. Really inspirational. I really appreciate that. Um, what I know we're still fresh. Um, it hasn't been that long, technically, if we think about careers and stuff. But if you were to think about it now, I think you guys know the question. But what do you think is next after your run as youth minister is over?
If I'm being completely honest, I can't even think about what I'm gonna eat tomorrow, let alone what I'm gonna do tomorrow, let alone what's next in Ray's lovely, lovely life. I think I'd like to think. I was actually thinking about this like 2 days ago. I can't tell you. Like as much as I'd like to tell you what I hope for, right? I follow, okay, I don't want to say I follow, but I live by Jeremiah 29:11, right? For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Um, and I think that's why I was always the person who didn't live by a plan. I think it's my sanguine, but I hate planning. I know I have to do it to have like at least a guide, but I'm someone who just lets whatever happens happens, because if it's supposed to happen and it goes bad, it's a lesson that I have to learn. If it goes great, then I'm supposed to be here. And I think that's all I can hope for. And as much as I'd like to say I'm gonna transfer and I would love to transfer to Hawaii, and I'd love to do psych and get my PhD in psych and be a practicing psychologist or psychiatrist. I don't know. I don't know. I think as of right now, I'm coaching. I can do that. I'm a minister. Um, I do know in the next year that's going to change because I have to apply for colleges, and there's places that I want to go and where I would hope I can succeed in. Um, and to be quite frank, those places aren't here. Um, so I can't say I'll be in ministry or I will be in ministry in the next year, but I think what I can say is even if I do leave, I'm still here, if that makes sense. Um, I'm not someone who likes to up and leave, if that makes sense. If I move on to the next thing, I I don't like to just leave whatever I just did. Like an example, I couldn't do it as a gymnastics instructor. I think that's why I didn't like the job, because it was just a very strict relationship, like strictly professional. I see you 9 to 5, and that's it, done, bye. But when I do coaching, when I do ministry, like the girls that I coached, I still talk to them. I'm never gonna be their coach again, and I'm okay with that. But that doesn't mean I can't be your friend. I can't talk to you. I can't just say hi to see how you're doing because I'm not that type of person. Um, and I'd hope even if I leave ministry, I'm still gonna try to talk to the kids in one way just to make sure they're okay. Um, and even like cousin and the other ministers, like I'm going to talk to them and I'm still gonna text them even if I'm in Hawaii. Like even no matter how far away I am, I like to just make sure that no matter where I go next, I remember where I come from and I remember where I came from. That's something I live by. It's knowing where I started and where I was from. Because without that, I'm nobody, right? So without cousin, without you guys, like without youth in general, without people who were like without Margaux, like I wouldn't be like here. I wouldn't be where I'm planning on going. So I think that's what I want to make sure happens next is that I don't forget that and them and everything before.
What's next? Isn't that the big question, huh? Like, when we want to know. Yeah, honestly, I wish I knew what was next, but I will tell you this. Before ministry, I feel like I always lived my life like, okay, like waiting, like, what am I gonna do next? Like, always like worrying, like anticipating what the next thing was for me. And it wasn't until being a minister where I had to let go of that because like as melancholy as I am, like Ray said, like she's a sanguine, like as melancholy as I am, and as much as I want to have every minute of my life planned out, I truly like had to let go of that because you can never have your life planned out in ministry. So I think like fully like putting my trust in God, like I don't know, maybe in a year where I don't know where I'll be like in a year, like here, maybe, like sure. But I truly like don't know. And I had to let go of the fact that like I had to like obsess over what was next. I mean, I'm supposed to graduate in about a year and a half, maybe get another job. I simply like don't know, but I do know that like it will come, and I'm kind of just like waiting on that because like I know it will come. I know it will be for me. Like, so something is out there for me. So I'm kind of just waiting and letting go of like these expectations and like what I want for me, because that isn't even going to happen, whatever I want. So I might as well kind of just like release all of that. stress overthinking what is next. I mean, it is good to plan, of course, don't get me wrong, but for me, outside of ministry, I simply just don't really know. So we'll see.
I love it. As for me, like, I think I said this before, but I think the only consistent thing I currently know is that it's gonna be involving kids somehow. Um, I think this job has changed me in a way where, like, if I wasn't working with kids, I would probably wouldn't feel right. But everything else, like, I really liked what both of you said, like the idea of like maintaining the relationships I've built, uh, I've made as minister, like, and just letting go of all the expectations I have for the future and just recognizing, like, it's not really my call when my time as youth minister is going to end. Like when it comes, it's time. When it's time, it's time. And I'll know if it's going to be a year from now, two, or if I even end up, if it's me ending at YSA and I somehow end up in another church, like I don't know. But it's really just letting go and just remembering like who got you there, and embracing that and just kind of letting God say, I welcome whatever big thing you have for me. Yeah.
Isn't
That,
that
is that
sorry.
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 Go ahead.
But isn't that wild? Like, it's one of the few things as ministers we can't plan. Like, think about it. Think about it. We spend all of our time just planning and like doing things and making sure things are in order. But like, that's the one thing we can't like put in order or like put in the plan. And I don't know. When you were saying that, that's like the first thing I thought of. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good. I love it. Yeah, I love it. You can't plan it. Like, I think whatchamacallit, I said minimum 4 years. I'm going on 3 now. So that means a year later would be 4. Wait, doing my math wrong. Theoretically, it'd be 2 years later, but I don't even know if that's gonna be true. But yeah. That being said, wanted to give you two a chance. Did you want to talk about anything or go back to any topics or ask any questions?
I'm just so curious. Sorry, it's Nosy Ray. um, who were you before ministry? I'm just so curious because we all said that we were like different. So I was just really curious.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking about that in my head as we were talking. I was like, I used to do a lot of dangerous stuff. No, I mean, not like dangerous stuff. Like I didn't, not like, not like I'm gonna go to jail type. I mean, maybe. I mean, okay,
Okay.
back up. I think, well, okay. I think the way I see it, and how I've grown and changed as a person, um, this ministry has just allowed me to embrace who I really was on the inside. Because I think before ministry, just like as I was growing up, I was an angry kid. I was really angry. I was always filled with rage, and I didn't know how to like um, properly deal with that stuff. So I did. I would. I mean, I wasn't always like, okay. I'm choosing my words carefully here, but like, um, I definitely like let my emotions and let my anger decide a lot of things for me. Um, but I think in my core, when I was able to drop that anger, um, the times I did, I think were just previews of who I am now. Like I really believe like who I am now as a person was always there inside me, but I was just so pent up and dealing with so much stuff, and I was holding on to everything that I wasn't really letting myself be the beautiful butterfly that I am, you know. But I would I was always very like, I mean, I still kind of am, but I'm very what's the word? It's not subconscious. That makes no sense. But spontaneous is the word I'm thinking of. Um, I was always spontaneous because I just didn't know where to go. But I think when I became a minister, it gave me direction. I think that answered the question, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I was just curious. I'll answer the question though. I think who I was before ministry, I was just a meanie, to be honest. Like I was many things. But I was very, like I said, I was cold-hearted. I was like really mean. I didn't like people. In high school, I was the one that like would roam around the hallways by herself because she didn't want to talk to anybody. Like my hair, guys, believe it or not, I was a redhead. Yes, that happened. I was a redhead and just wore all black. I had that phase. And I just didn't like talking to people. So yeah, that's who I was. And then obviously I was an athlete, so I like defined myself as that, but that was really it. I've only defined myself as an athlete. There was like nothing else after that. It's like when you do those intros in class where it's like your name and what's one fun fact about yourself. I always said I'm a volleyball player. Like that's all I used. So nothing else. Like I couldn't say anything else. So yeah. Anyways, that's who I was. Atamango.
Well, you know how you said you were a volleyball player? My answer to that was always, my favorite food is mangoes, or my favorite food is watermelon, or I love to eat, because like I simply didn't have anything to define me. I was like the most quiet person ever. I wasn't like antisocial. I really feel like I was friends with everyone, but at the same time, I was just so reserved and quiet and shy. And like now I feel like I'm confident in my own abilities, and that like I kind of just like know that like, you know, being nice in itself is like something, and just like that has changed. So like I'm allowed to just like fully be myself because of that. So yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions or topics you want to explore? It's okay. Don't. You can just say no. Okay. So, Ray and Margaux, thank you so much for joining us this past hour or so. Where can we find you in your ministries? Ministry.
Sorry. I think whoever's editing is gonna have to edit that out. Like Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like when do you meet? Your Instagram. What where can you find your church? What are you guys doing now?
the church is located in Burlingame, California on 1721 Hillside Drive. But other than that, we have youth group every
Second and fourth.
Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. on Zoom. And you can find us on Instagram at OLAYG.
She really dropped our address. That is such an admin.
Did you say the zip code too? What's the zip code?
94010. I don't know if I said it.
Good to know. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ray and Margaux. It's been such an awesome time talking with you and just getting to know you more. And I hope all the, I almost said readers, but listeners got something out of it too. So with that being said, we can move into closing prayer. So if we could just, sure, whoa, we could place ourselves in the presence of our Lord in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Father God, we praise and thank you for just gathering us here today. Another uh, awesome, amazing podcast. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for just allowing us the opportunity to even know each other in the first place. I'm just super grateful for just all the amazing opportunities and all the amazing gifts you have given all of us, Lord. And I just ask that as we continue to move forward, that as we as we uh, as we leave this podcast, as we close everything off, may we continue to move forward and be inspired and continue to do your great work, Lord. And as all of this, may even greater possibilities occur in most gracious and holy Jesus Christ. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. So thank you everyone for watching. That does it all for us at the youth room. This is question.
I do have a question. I feel like we said hamsters 5 times. I feel like I should explain what a hamster
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, guys. For anyone that is new to the term hamsters, hamsters is another word for brain cells. So what that means is when we say let the hamsters relax or let the hamsters just live their life, that means let the brain cells just relax and live their life. Because yeah. And then if you need if that doesn't help because I'm very bad at explaining, this is another one that my friend told me. So you know when a hamster's like running on a wheel? So pretend that's like your brain like trying to like learn, like go and think and like go on overdrive, but then the hamster gets really tired, so then it like plops on the wheel and that's when your hamster's dead. Anyways, not dead, but tired.
And we just cut it here. No, I'm kidding. But thank you so much for watching. This is the final part of our multi-part episode featuring different youth ministers. Thank you, Ray and Margaux, for joining us once again. I already thank you? I'm going to thank you again. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or anything you want to hear from us here at the YSA podcast, please feel free to let us know. And yeah, I hope you have a good night. Farewell.
Hey guys, hi, my name is Mike. I am 16 and I am a youth leader in St. Andrews.
Hey y'all, my name is Abby and I'm also one of the youth leaders here at St. Andrews.
So if you are wondering why we are here and why we're talking, we too are in charge of basically calling and kind of organizing the Youth Room podcast. And if you don't know what it is, it's a monthly podcast that we have been posting here and just talking about. And you probably have seen that on our IGTV or YouTube.
And with that, we want to give a huge shout out to all our youth ministers who have been part of the podcast. We appreciate all your hard work and efforts and your willingness to be part of this. I definitely had a great time getting to know you all, and I feel more connected to all of you since our community is now in the virtual world. But thank you again so much for being part of our podcast. And we also want to give a huge shout out to our viewers and all the youth and all the people in our community who have been watching our videos. And our podcast, we appreciate you all so much, and this wouldn't be possible without you all.
Yes, oh my gosh. It's just crazy to just hear how wise our youth ministers are and our community as a all, from the little church here and the big church expanding and everything. So yeah, once again, thank you. And for the viewers and you guys also, because it wouldn't have been done without you. So kind of moving on, a little fun fact. You could also be in the podcast as well if wanted, because we are always looking for special guests. We are always looking for cool topics and questions and everything like that, because this is an open community, an open family, and that also comes in this podcast as well.
Exactly what Mike said. If you have any specific topics that you would like to talk about here on our podcast, any topics or specific people you'd like to see in our podcast, please let us know. You could let Mike and I know, or you could let our youth minister Raejen know, or our Instagram account at Youth of St. Andrew.
We are always available and open to any new topics, recommendations, anything like that, just to spread the love in our community.
Exactly. So that's pretty much it. Once again, we can't, from the bottom of our hearts, we can't thank you guys enough, our youth ministers, and everything in general, because quarantine is hard. So it's pretty cool to film and watch a podcast with our family.
Have a good day, everyone. We'll see you on the next podcast.
Yeah.
Should I be tripping on you? Why I should be paying dues? I'm a phone in the youth, raised on Aubrey and Badu. I know I'm fine, don't need an outer confirmation from a man who uses 2-in-1